What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Today I went down to the Apple store and did a demo of the Apple Vision Pro. I wanted to go over some of my impressions of my near 1 hour experience with the device. I'm obviously not going to be able to talk about what it would be like with everyday use, but I feel confident that I got a good look at everything the device is capable of. As I talk about my experience, I'll compare it to the Meta Quest 2 that I own. A lot of people in the comment section say it's not fair to compare a $300 to $500 piece of tech to one that costs $3,500 new. I completely disagree, since they are both VR headsets that attempt to do the same exact things for the most part. If you were interested in the Meta Quest 3, for example, it's going to cost you about $500. Make no mistake, $500 to $3,500 is a big leap, but I categorize both of them as big expenses. If I can reasonably afford to spend $500 on something, it's definitely not outside the world of possibility. You can simply wait longer, save up more if you truly cared about getting the Apple headset. It's an investment in a big piece of technology, which is a very strategic thing in a world where people budget how much they spend on certain things, including myself. You know what? Let's start there. The Apple Vision Pro is a whopping $3,500 at its cheapest. And let's be honest here, you're not done at that price mark. Almost everyone I've ever heard talk about the device talks about how much the dual strap is a necessity. That will run you over $100. It also doesn't come with a carrying case. That is absolutely outrageous in my opinion. That is another $100 or so right there. Luckily, you can go on eBay and grab a used one for around $2,500, which is actually not the worst thing in the world. Alright, now on to the demo I got to experience. There were a couple things I was skeptical about. Two things I thought to myself, this could be a real deal breaker. The first one was field of view. I heard a lot of people say it was like watching virtual reality through a pair of snowboarding goggles. While there certainly is some sort of effect there, your eyes really start to ignore those boundaries. I was in the middle of an immersive experience at the end that legitimately made me lose my sense of self. I could not tell in that moment I was wearing VR goggles. I mean, I did, of course, but my eyes were telling me I wasn't, if that makes sense. Even in pass-through, your vision adjusts to where everything feels normal. Speaking of viewing, I guess I'll take this time to talk about Apple's virtual environments. In my opinion, it's pretty hit or miss. The beach one just feels a little off. I can't really explain why, it just doesn't sell itself as real to me. I feel like I'm in a digital photo more than a real environment. The top of the mountain one, though, is absolutely insane. It's not something I can explain in words. You just have to experience it for yourself. The first thing that really bums me out about the immersive environments is that they are so intense. I like using the big screen app on my Meta Quest and jumping into a cozy ass environment. I even purchased a bar to watch sports in on Sundays. It tangibly changes my viewing experience depending on where I'm at. The environments in the Vision Pro are insane levels of serenity. I felt guilty having a Safari tab open at the top of the most beautiful mountain you've ever seen. I hope that Apple can develop environments like a work office. It would make working at home feel so much more productive. Or even just a chill home, which a Meta Quest has so many of. Apple has the ability to blow these environments out of the water with realism because all of these Quest ones have a shade of cartoon on them. They look good overall, but it would be awesome to work in a fancy boardroom office location while I was editing at night. I'll transition over to the UI now and how the interface feels. I mean, truthfully, it's very similar to the Meta Quest in a lot of ways. Moving windows around, resizing them, it was a very familiar feeling to me. The massive difference, of course, is the input method. Instead of lugging controllers around, the Vision Pro has incredibly accurate eye tracking and, more importantly, a hand-based input system. I was really curious to see how lackadaisical you could lay your hand and if it would still pick up the pinching motion. It was way more than I thought it would be, but also not limitless, if that makes sense. You can't just lay your hand on your side and expect the input to go through. I had that happen to me a couple times during the demo where I thought to myself, okay, yeah, that was a little too far away. At the same time, you can seriously relax your arm and get crisp feedback. You don't have to have your arm floating the entire time or lifted every time you want to input something. It's a much more pleasant experience to not be tethered to physical controllers when doing things in the VR world. When I watch content on my Meta Quest, I'm constantly patting my body to make sure I know where they are. My controllers get mixed up, which means my virtual hands do too. The pointer will shoot off when you first put the controller down. Everything is so natural with the Vision Pro, and I was using it for the first time. The ecosystem by far blows the Meta Quest out of the water. It's the most compelling argument I could see when thinking about making that massive leap to buy it. When I have my Meta Quest on, I can do nothing but VR stuff. If I want to check my phone or jump on a Discord call, I simply cannot do that when using my Meta Quest. While you can use the native message app on the Vision Pro, which is cool, you can also connect your phone screen to the headset, or even just look down and use your phone. The stuff on the Meta Quest exists on its own isolated island. There are workarounds for most of the things I just talked about, but the amount of legwork that goes into it feels like a waste when the Vision Pro exists. Now, with that massive tangent aside, let me move on to the second thing I felt might be a deal breaker for me. In almost all the videos I watched before my demo, everyone talked about how heavy it felt on your face. I was going in there thinking I was about to strap a cement brick to my face. In my little less than an hour, I can honestly say I didn't feel astronomically heavier than my Meta Quest 2. Maybe I just have a shit brick house head that handles weight very well, but I was surprised at how normal it felt to me. Take my word with a massive grain of salt since I didn't have it on for 2 straight hours. Now, I will say that after my demo, I did get a bit of a headache, and I feel confident it was from what I experienced. At the very least, I can say the headset is overall comfortable to wear, and there are third-party solutions to fix the issue even more. So that brings me to now. Did this demo convince me one way or the other to pursue the product or say, yeah, it was cool, but definitely not worth its current price tag? I'm going to say I'm leaning towards finding a way to own it sooner rather than later. I would never buy a brand new one for these for $3,500, that's for sure, but $2,500 is way more of a reasonable price tag. The Apple Vision Pro is unbelievable. It's such a premium device that redefines your technical experience at home. If I were to get one of these and move, I would redesign my office space in a completely different way. The technology is so far ahead of its competition in a way that can only really be understood by people who are familiar with VR. The Meta Quest 2 puts cement on your feet where you want to use it. There are no limitations, within reason, for the Apple Vision Pro. Menus are placed in 3 dimensions that allow you to move freely. Again, I know the Quest is about $250 to $500. I'm just trying to quantify how much of a leap there is between the 2 devices. It's in a completely different sphere. In conclusion, my first impressions of their Vision Pro is that it's a one-of-a-kind device. It has the Apple seal of quality. I think there's a narrative out there that this is just a high-end beta device. I couldn't disagree more. Sure, some of the design choices will certainly evolve over time, like the wired battery and maybe even the weight distribution, but the actual piece of technology is 100% complete. This is a device that can be used for the next 10 years. Whatever future versions of the headset that'll exist in this line will be cosmetic upgrades like better cameras, better arm tracking, maybe a separated processor to make the headset lighter, better battery life, things like that. The core experience of the Vision Pro will be applicable for so many years to come. Just the idea of having an ultra-wide monitor for your MacBook at any location in the world makes this device borderline future-proof, as long as people are using personal laptops. I'm going to end this video with some of my more theoretical thoughts. Since I only had such a short amount of time with the headset, this is mostly conjecture, or prediction on certain aspects of the device. I'll start with some of my more out there thoughts. There is so much technology packed into this device, which, while being a really cool thing, I don't know if it's needed considering the final price tag. I got a chance to look through the photo app and the star features that the Apple Vision Pro provides. Using AI, it can turn one of your photos into a more 3D version of it. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know. I'm not the kind of person to casually browse my picture app. It's the same thing with these 3D videos you can record on the headset. I think this is a quasi-dystopian memory pod type of experience. This is something I genuinely believe contributes to the cost of the device. The amount of work that must have gone into making those cameras do that is incomprehensible to me. While it's certainly a neat feature, do I really want to spend the most precious moments of my life with a VR headset strapped to my face? I mean, I think that's what Apple's marketing this thing as, which I find to be so strange. They are promoting the product as an extension of the iPhone almost. Something that will eventually be so normal that people will have some sort of AR glasses strapped to their head at all times. I'm not sure that is the route they should have taken for their first generation product. I view the device as a smart home in a weird way, a replacement for the physical rectangles that define technology. The Apple Vision Pro is not a social device because no one can see you while you wear it. While they do have a digital eye thing to bridge the gap a bit, these goggles are still an isolating experience. I view the Vision Pro as the end of the clunky computer setup. Theoretically, all you need is a MacBook Pro and a simple desk to hold it up. If this thing launched at $2,000 or $2,500, I think they would have sold out and would not have shut down production so early. The experience of the device is that good. It will leave you in awe the first time you use it, guaranteed. $3,500 is just an insane number that the large majority of the public could never think of buying. What do you guys think of the Apple Vision Pro? Are you thinking about getting one? Let me know in the comment section down below.